Just looking at the Bottlemen, going through Instagram memories, because you know, like the other day, or obviously hot topic of the moment on this whatever day it is the Downing Street parties and things going round. What were you doing on the 20th of May? And it got me looking through my Instagram memories from lockdown. That is my Instagram story from that kind of period of time is absolutely unhinged. It's so depressing.
Like 2 months into like quarantine,
yeah,
I shaved my head. It was the worst decision of my life.
You got bad sunburn.
I did get bad sunburn.
Yeah.
Because I shaved my head and then walked out into the desert like Homer Simpson in that one episode of The Simpsons where he loses his mind.
With Johnny Cash.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
But yeah, that was just something that was on the Instagram stories. I thought it needed a bit of revitalisation, because at the point where that came out, everyone was doing X in the Bottlemen, Mary in the Bottlemen, Matthew in the Bottlemen.
You heard it here first.
Pretty Patel in the Bottlemen, Charlie Chocolate Factory in the Bottlemen, Rodell in the Bottlemen. They're not doing so good, are they?
I thought they were breaking up, were they not?
I thought they were. I watched.
Was the whole thing not going to be that they were going to headline? Was it Reading last year, and then they were going to break up after it?
Yeah, they. I watched their set on iPlayer afterwards, and it was just there was a spark was gone.
Sounds like the Bottlemen have bottled it.
Hey!
Class.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't good. It was really jarring. Me and Suzanne were watching it, and we're like, "This is so weird."
Not a fan.
Just flat in terms of.
It was like
They were never really a incredible live band, were they?
I wasn't
very solid.
They're no Rush.
They're not Rush.
What was that thing though? Did they not have like a on their merch though, and they were like charging for like kisses and other things?
Seriously?
Things worse than kissing. And it was like, yeah, it was bad. They were charging
Kissing's the
wee
worst though. Not
lassies
worse than
for...
kissing.
That's pretty grim.
No, it was bad.
Because I seen them at Bella Houston, like me and Suze bought a ticket like really hungover one day, like for the day, and we were like, that was good, it was enjoyable, but doing that
Wouldn't they go again?
Wouldn't they go again? I mean, that Reading performance, they were just kind of like over the microphone. It was just Vanus Mechanis was just like rolling about the stage and in a really quite non-charming way.
There's a few clips of him where he's a very interesting figure.
Yeah, he seems very standoffish, but
all of our stomachs just pure rumbling at
We're
the
that
same
good
time.
musicians that our stomach
and
rumbles
harmony.
even
Oh,
harmonised.
that was lovely.
up the gain.
Get that gain
Yeah, we
staged.
could compress that and get that sampled, couldn't we?
MPC.
What is the strangest thing you've ever sampled?
Well, Catchphrase.
Yeah, on Unorthodox, we made the album. We're trying to find like what bit is it actually in?
It's the bit after the first chorus that goes into the second verse where it's like that.
Yeah.
We took the wing and like slowed it down.
Yeah, it's basically the correct answer. It's like we always use like it's always a quick fix to add a bit of like stuff niceness to like a transition, so it's always like a good riser. We're like, what can we do? It's kind of weird for that sample Catchphrase. Because in my head I was like, that would sound good. Shan went on to YouTube downloader.com. Got the sample. Getting on.
Legally.
Why too, mate?
We phoned Les Dennis, obviously.
Yeah, we asked him
Cleared
for permission. He said, aye, go for
and
it.
it's on the album. And yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest things with samples.
There's also the start of Who's Knocking on My Door.
We still don't know what that is.
Yeah, so the guy at the start of Who's Knocking on My Door is like, right, here we go. So basically I was going through an old hard drive from an old computer from years ago, and it was like, it's synced with like iCloud, like my voice notes. And it's from like 2017. I've got the date on it. I can't remember it exactly, but it's obviously there's no note on it, like writing. So I don't know where it is. I look back at my calendar, and there's no like. I'd put like if I was going to a gig, I would put it in, and you would find out who it is. But there's nothing on there.
I think it's like from a meme or something. It sounds like
I'm so sure it's Duncan.
I thought it was Duncan as well, but I think it's like it sounds like a hand dryer, one of those Dyson ones.
It is a hand dryer, yeah.
Well, the Dyson's like...
Well, yeah. But I don't know. But I remember. I think it's like the whoosh is a Dyson hand dryers, which are not great, by the way.
No,
like it just like regurgitates like bad liquids onto your hands.
Better than paper towels.
No, paper towels are better because see, I know it's bad for the environment, but see, like hand dryers, they suck in the piss air.
True.
And they put it into your hands.
It's not good.
My daddy, he said to me, wash your hands, use a towel. Maybe killing a tree, but you're not killing yourself.
That's very true. It's very true. I think it.
Samples.
I think it's either Duncan or it's Alan Sharp out of Pleasureheads.
Ah, yeah.
I think because part of me thinks it might be in the King Tut's bathroom. Because I
Do
remember
they have a Dyson there? Do they have
We
a
did
Dyson?
recording in the bathroom.
it was just really loud, and he was, and because obviously he said, "Right, here we go," because we were like, that sounds mental. Let's put that in a song or something like that.
Right.
But it might not be. It could be anyone. But if anyone remembers from like the summer of 2017, us recording something, get in touch because you're due PRS.
Is Alan showing up pop up in one of your music videos as well?
He's in the French exit one, isn't he?
Aye.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
He's a roller skater.
Aye.
Yeah, it was pure mad because we had no idea he was pure amazing at roller skating.
I was class. It was very good.
Because we got firewire.
Went a firewire.
We got firewater booked out for the day, and like we need roller skaters, and we got who was that gal? I can't remember what she was called. And then Alan was like, "Oh, I'll do it." I was like, "Doing it skate." I was like, "He just didn't answer us," and then he turned up and was just roller skating around firewater, empty firewater all Sunday. A nightmare.
It's interesting to kind of look back to that video because I was thinking about it today when you looked at like the videos for the new EP as well. The visual aspect has always kind of been quite an important. It feels like it's been quite an important accompanying aspect to it.
Yeah.
How have your kind of attitudes toward it changed in the way that you approach it shifted in any way? Do you think?
Spend less money. No, like be more economical.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know.
I think it depends. Like with French Exit, like we had Jan. I think it was you had the idea of like getting firewater booked. It sounded like some weird kind of nightclubby kind of like vibe. And then we talked to Eric and Casper.
Yeah, but then we all got together because we had a lot of meetings, and it was like we need to have 4 different. Every person has their own world and all that.
The song always informs the video. I would say, like
Yeah.
we're all like visually invested in a lot of things. So we always have like good like Eric and Casper from Humble Film Productions. They are always really really good. We promote their ideas of their own, the vibes of what we want to do. But it always depends on the song because like with She Don't video, that was kind of born out of necessity of like COVID and kind of really always in the same place. So we got all in one shot with Martin going mental.
Yeah.
And it's class and it suits that video, but we couldn't do a French Exit-esque video for that song. We could have, but the song always informs the visuals, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's like trying things as well. Like obviously we got Martin back because he's great. And
So Martin was in French Exit, and then that was She Don't was supposed to be like a continuation
of his character.
of his character.
So French
Kinda
Exit's like
waking up
Iron Man,
and then
She Don't's like Iron Man 2.
Yeah, but it was kind of more like we wanted to kind of show off like Martin's full acting talents in like one shot and like really challenge him, just so we could spend less money.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah,
Like,
he's great.
Yeah, if you want a good actor for if anyone's listening, he's an actor. Get Martin.
Martin Quinn.
MartinQuinn.com.
Or
Paisley.
Yeah, Paisley. Gallo. Trinity High School.
What about the Bottlemen video? How would you say that the song informed that?
Well, it was weird, that one, because it was with Bovine and
Another Paisley boy.
another Paisley
Shout
boy.
out.
And you just sent, like, we wrote the song in like November 2019, and we kind of got it in a good place by like February, and you just sent him it like in that February,
Yeah.
and I said, "Here, make a video to this." And then in like July, he started getting back with like what he'd done, and he just came up with everything.
Yeah.
And like,
We just totally nailed it, didn't he? Like, because it was such like a special song for us, and I was like, what could we do? We need something kind of mystical or like dark and a bit gloomy. And then he just sent us this thing back, this cartoon animation with like the big guy in it. We were just like, perfect.
I think we've always wanted to do like an animation thing, and like trusting Bovine with that was great because he is a genius.
Yeah,
he's legitimately like like genius with like so many different things, music and visuals. He's just great.
the amount of work that he put into that video, because he did a lot of behind the scenes stuff and like on his Instagram and just going through, like he was like making like these full sets in whatever program he was using, like full 3D
proper,
sets.
like 3D world, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could. I think you could like put it in like a video game and like literally walk around, and like because it's based on Paisley, famous landmark. You could literally walk around a video game style Paisley.
Yeah. I think that video was probably the least. Well, we were not hands on, but we had like conversation about it. But it was kind of largely his vision, inspired by our musical ideas and that. So
Did he create like those landscapes first and then kind of put the story in there and kind of figure it out after making them, or what was the?
I think he was. I think he had a couple of ideas, but I don't even really know, to be honest. I don't want to know.
you can imagine just thinking, oh, how did he do this? Like it's good. It's kind of the same feeling of like I always like see when we like being a musician and all that, I feel like sometimes the magic is lost when you know the process. So I feel like not knowing the process kind of makes it a bit more magic to me.
I suppose to go back to your question as well, how we kind of feel about that stuff. I feel like we've kind of felt like we've been able to let go of that and trust in the people that we work with, Eric, Casper, and Bovine, just to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be good. And whereas like maybe back we'd be very on be editing it ourselves.
Yeah, I think like when you're first starting out as a band, we always chat about this of like you need to be a videographer and a sound recorder and a graphic artist and like all these different things that you have to do when you're doing it kind of DIY. And then now that we've got so many brilliant pals that are so talented, it's like it's good that you can focus on the music and kind of let go a wee bit and let them kind of put in their own kind of style to it and stuff, which is really cool.
Because then it's just the same with everything, like with our writing as well. You want to let the other person shine and bring in their ideas because they're going to do something you would never think of. So, yeah, I think we're just becoming a lot more just laid back and trustful of people around us.
In the same way that Bovine created those kind of landscapes that he let it unfold in, when it comes to the kind of sound of this EP, what were the first things that you laid down that you then began to play around with sound-wise?
I think we'd always had this idea that it was going to be like a mixtape sort of idea, that everything was going to be quite different just because the album, I think when we were recording the album we thought it was all quite varied, but then we listened back to obviously the way we recorded it in the studio with Paul and everything was done like kind of like classic way you would do an album. It sounded very focused, it was very
cohesive.
It was cohesive, whereas we were like now we want to explore other sonic things and take the things we've learned from Paul, apply them to our own production and recording. So there's nothing really held back. We were like, we choose ideas. Obviously Gloaming to me is kind of like a block party tune, like your kind of indie, late 2000s indie. And we want to do like...
It does also feel kind of like the closest to the album that came before it, I think, as well, perhaps.
It does, yeah. And I think that was a good stepping stone, because that was like the first one we did, and it was like to go from album and then immediately into Gloaming. I say immediately, 1 year after the album. It's a kind of it's not just completely, unfamiliar territory for us as well. It's like a good stepping stone to that. And then it was just more like, let's do a kind of bedroom poppy, kind of like boppy one, like She Don't. Let's do a really heavy one and like Who's Knocking on My Door. And then let's do a really...
It's like a punk song almost.
Yeah. I think, as you were saying previously, they're like being a bit less precious with our visual stuff. I think I wouldn't say we're being less precious with the music. We also we care about it so much, but we're a bit more. We're able. I think we're a bit more confident now. We can kind of hedge our bets a bit more. Like say, fuck it, let's make a mental punk tune with a drop A guitar riff. Why not?
Yeah.
I feel like now we're a bit more comfortable with that, just doing what we want and not trying to fit in a box. Like obviously we really like making good pop tunes, but why can't I drop a guitar riff be in it? You know what I mean? Like we are like secretly metalheads.
I think it's also the confidence to knowing if we are going to do it, it's still going to have some sort of flavour of ourselves in it. So it's never going to sound like a completely different band. It's just going to sound like us doing something. And with our level of commitment that we like to do, it's going to hopefully sound good. Well, I mean, hopefully it's always going to sound good. Excellence is the goal. Like excellence is the key. Perfection doesn't exist. It's always excellence you must aim for. Well, I work in a restaurant.
What song do you think you've had to work the hardest at to get it to a point where it feels like it's of the sufficient caliber?
Should we take one each?
Not even necessarily just with this EP, but in general.
Yeah, I think
just with what you were saying there about how it's always of excellence.
Well,
what was it taking the most to kind of get to that point?
We spent quite a lot when we were doing the album. We spent quite a lot of time on the hit. I remember that. I remember trying to get, because it is in the context of that album. It's quite a weird song, and just because it's kind of funky, but it's got a big riff at the start, kind of weird, kind of like chords playing through it. There's like kind of like bridge part that kind of changes key slightly, but kind of doesn't. So even. I remember I was like sitting and trying to find like good samples and stuff like that and good sounds for that, because like it took a lot of time with that song. And
was it the lead single in the end? Was it that or French Exit that was the kind of...
French Exit was the lead single.
Hit came out as a single.
It was the second single.
Second single, yeah.
19th of July 2019.
Oof,
Even-
memory.
Good recall.
I think.
Even trying to learn the song was a bit tough as well.
That was hard.
Yeah, because for complete transparency, when we make music, it's in the kind of virtual realm first. We don't. Sometimes we do sit in a room and craft a song together, but most of the time it's like one of us will have an idea. It goes through the Jan machine, and then like we all kind of come in and just kind of
Yeah, and then kind of learn it after.
yeah, and get it sorted after. And sometimes like there's been a couple of times, just personally myself, I'm just like, why have we made like this so difficult to play? Like Sanctum Sound is an example of that.
Yeah, because it's like difficult always in different respects, because it's like it's not, some of it may not be like the most complicated there, but then it's like, oh, I need to play this for you for Sanctum Sound, I need to play this bass line for 3 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's an endurance test.
Aye, so I think every single song we have written, it does take a bit of time to get some stuff perfect, because I don't know. I think it's just in our nature. We don't want to stick something out half-assed because we care about it so much.
Yeah.
But Sanctum Sound was That's why I've not played it live yet. Because it hurts so much.
A big song that took, I think, me to get my head round, but when we finally got it down, it came together really quickly, was The Grip. Because there was many different versions of that tune. There's one, the first original demo, it still has that end bit with the kind of, but the start of it was completely different. It was like something off Room on Fire by the Strokes, but in 6/4. But it was a riff at Euro, and it was like class. But then it was like 2 different songs just placed together. We're like, we'll do that. And I remember one that was on Zoom call to you one night doing one of our remote writing sessions, and you're like, oh, put like the old school Mast guitar over it. Mast, for those OG fans out there from 2014.
It's a niche reference.
From 2014. Put that guitar over it, and then work from there, and then you came in, added more things. So that was the long process for me, I think, to get right.
I don't think we've had like one song that's been an absolute like a thing that took ages to do. Every song's been not too bad. Can you? I don't know if I can't really think of one that's been.
For me, Who's Knocking on My Door was hard.
Yeah, that's
especially
actually-
learning that live was so difficult, and because we're basically just screaming at each other. Me and Jan are just like, and so usually there's a bit more of like the kind of pop flair where there's like melody and it's like whereas with this it's just like
it's also like much faster than everything we'd ever done.
Totally, yeah.
And it was weird to jump up like 40 BPM from RU. I think that's the thing with the album as well. It was all within like a honestly like a 15 BPM like radius of like from like 110 to like 130 or something like that. That was the limits of where we went.
Zeitgeist must be slower than that, is it not? At the start.
Oh, Zeitgeist? No, it's just got no drums in it. It's still no, Zeitgeist's actually the fastest tune in the album.
By the end it's got the...
It's the whole thing's a solid 144, 145.
Jesus.
I think Who's Knocking also didn't help because of being stuck in the house because of COVID.
Yeah.
It was hard to kind of rock out in your bedroom by yourself.
Speak for yourself, Mary.
Because even when we would, before a song's released, we would get together in like the practice studio and work it out live. You know what I mean? The song might be finished and recorded, but we'd have a chance to work it out before it's out in the world.
Aye.
So it's like with Gloaming and Who's Knocking, when it came to play them live in Liverpool earlier this year,
It was like, what?
it was weird because you have those relationships with your songs when you play them live, especially if you play them live for a year or two before you put them out as a single, or you get comfortable with them and you know their place in your life, in your life. And life. But with these ones, it was like these are already old. Well, not old, but they're aged.
You've lived with them for a while.
We've lived with them, and the fact that other people have lived with them as well. They're like, you know what I mean? Like people who would listen to the music have lived with them, and it's like this is odd.
Yeah.
This is the thing I wanted to ask you about in regards to the album and then moving on to this EP. How long do you feel like it took you to feel like you were a different person from who created the songs on the record and you felt like you needed to make something new?
I think.
Or how long did it take you to have a certain distance from it, if you know what I mean?
Well, I think even from the end of like recording the album, because we wrapped in January 2019, the recording of it, and it came out in October. I think by that point, me, I think we were all just...
You started recording in the summer though, hadn't you? Like it was kind of a back and forth for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So we started recording in like summer 2018, and then it was like we would
it was
do
a good like 6 months or something.
Yeah,
wasn't
6.
it?
So we were like 2 weeks on and then like 3 weeks off. Like another 2 weeks on and then 3 weeks off, and doing that like 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, or like 4 days a week or 5 days a week. I can't quite remember, but when we wrapped that, by the time the albums come out, we were all ready to start writing new tunes again and get things moving. I just wonder if this EP would, at this point, we would probably be sitting with album 2 at this point if it wasn't for COVID, because the EP probably. Excuse me. Sorry. That's such a strange laugh I just did.
It's okay, man. Nobody listens.
Keep going, John.
Nobody's listening to you, Jan. It's fine.
It's just like it took. The EP was originally meant to come out in like March, April 2021.
Yeah.
That was with our original plan, but just with Delta and Beta and Alpha and Omicron and the Kent variant.
The Kent variant.
Remember the Kent variant?
Yeah.
That died quickly though, didn't it?
I think that became the Beta variant that didn't get too much because everyone called it the Kent variant.
What's the Steps one then?
The Steps one, that's Omicron.
Is that Omicron?
5,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8.
Maybe. Sorry.
At what point then did you realise that it wasn't going to come out in February or March? Because the last time we spoke would have been...
Me. Sorry, go on, no, sorry.
I know the last time we spoke would have been like November time, at which point it did feel like the EP wasn't... It was going to be around within the next 6 months, I think, was kind of the...
Yeah, because I mean,
impression at that point.
a lot of the songs were there in demo form. They were all not pretty much done, but maybe like 60-70% done. Like every song had a start at least, and there was a demo or a couple of demos of it. I think a big part was it because us all like studying and working full time. Like when things started to open up during 2021, I work in a restaurant. It was just so busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were busy working
From home.
in the accounts, but you were hectic though, and you were like studying.
I was
your
skint.
ass off.
I need to get to the bar and work.
You need to get to the bar.
You know what I mean?
So it was just like real life had to take over for a couple of months. You know what I mean? And if there was money to be made, we had to go out and make some cash because we've been
To buy our big guitars and all that, you know?
we've been sitting in a gaff making no money. So by the time like things kind of calmed down after a wee bit, like in like July, August.
Yeah. I
And
think it was weird, like COVID, because it's like it wasn't only like the band that was suffering. Like we had to take stock of like going through that as just people,
Yeah.
and then having like band stuff take a back seat was really difficult because it's like it's a big, huge aspect of all our personalities. So it's like we need to get our life sorted first, and then
Yeah.
the band comes later, and then it was quite tough.
I
Wasn't
think,
it? So
yeah, I know. Something you're talking about, like in terms of like life coming back in. I think with us, we're such a, personally for me, we're such a live orientated band. I think what motivates me to write music, what I think motivates you guys as well, is writing tunes to play in a live environment. And when that's gone, it kind of hits your motivation a wee bit. It did to me, because you're like, it's great putting a single out, but I'd rather be playing it to somebody, a crowd of people, and letting them hear it. You know what I mean? So it's like you're kind of putting the song out, and it's cool.
yeah.
But there's no audience to like get the feedback from, and that's what kind of hit me a wee bit. Not having the end game of having an audience to listen to, and it didn't know we did it at that time. Was it like when we talked to you? Like no,
it was like December 20. Was it November or December 2020 that we last had that chat?
End
believe
in
so, 'cause
November.
November.
Aye.
Like
So we're like we're
It was
not.
I think it was a few days before. Was Sanctum Sound second?
Sanctum was it would have been a few
Yeah,
days before Sanctum
yeah.
Sound, yes. Like,
But yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's hard to get tunes done when you're like, well, to me, you don't know when you're going to be playing them live. You know what I mean? It's a weird kind of vibe.
and then that's when live was finally starting to come around, and we played our first show on the 1st of October. Was it 3rd of October maybe? And we had to
Liverpool, yeah.
Liverpool, and we had to just the EP once again had to take a bit of a back seat because we had to get everything ready for live again because we wanted to change up how we did things and make it more reliable and better sounding. So we spent like 2 months like just re-practicing and rejigging everything that we do live to make it a better experience. And once we nailed that down, we're like, okay, now we've finally got time to finish the EP now. And then that's what I said 3 weeks before it came out. I just mailed like, right guys, I'm putting an EP out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We were like, what?
We got shit done.
yeah, and I was just like, don't worry, I'm going to ask you a few things, but we'll get it fine. We'll get the artwork sorted, that's all we need. We'll get the video sorted on this date and we'll do it. And
Yeah.
to be fair, we did do it. Like,
During that period, like at the start of last year when you were all working or studying and the band kind of had to take a backseat for life, like you say, do you notice the absence of it on a day-to-day basis? Do you feel that?
yeah, 100%.
Because it's like some people are like, "What's your thing?" and you're like, "Music." That's it. Like then when you don't have that, you're like, what is my thing? Like, I don't have any other things
Because
in my life.
because it's the same. Because it's like also, you know, going to see your friends play, you playing gigs, going to practice, going to other people's practices, hanging out, going to clubs, or just like everything is just such a social thing.
It's a cliche, but it's a way of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's like going to suck else, you go to Sleazy's or broadcast and seeing your pal's band play or go for a pint like Thursday or Friday or Saturday night. When that's gone, it's just awful.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's came back for a bit and then Omicron's kind of just fucked it again.
I-
But hopefully, fingers crossed, next couple of weeks it's all good again.
Fingers crossed our stereo gig will go ahead.
Yeah.
But
When's
yeah,
this go out? It may have already happened.
if so, good work, guys. That was class.
If it comes before, it's going to be.
That was mad, that thing you did.
Oh, crazy, man.
You see when you got up in the thing
Oh, mate,
and played that note?
I was so scared.
I think we all were. All 210 of us in that venue.
Oh well, yeah,
Plus crew and staff. Like,
all above board.
and when you did you sung
The
the
wee stage dive.
yeah, when you sung that lyric, well, in the
Aye.
Speaking of mad things, remember
in
your
the crowd
cousins-
or the stage.
Do you remember your cousin like off that fire extinguisher?
Yep.
That's actually did
remember
happen.
This, yeah.
Like-
It's like the last bit. So it was in Paisley Central Library, and I worked there at the time, and it was closing down to get refurbished. And I was like, let's put a gig on in the library. It'll be class. And then it was like the last song. Everything went really well. Like everyone that I worked with was there, including all the big managers. And it was like the pure climax of the song, wasn't it? And everyone was like about to jump up, and he just was like, and then
Fire
the whole
extinguisher.
set he was just getting
Right.
like chased by like this like security guard. And I was just like,
That was hilarious.
so good, but wasn't it? Didn't have a smoke machine, so
Aye. I realise we're going in mad tangents, but
I don't know.
Podcasting's all about.
Is this like the uninterrupted like hour and a bit long version that goes on the Spotify?
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Speaking of climaxes,
Yes.
the end of this EP, how would you kind of compare the role that the outro plays to Zeitgeist on the album? What do you kind of see the two? What were the intentions between the two?
I see the grip as a more of a
You see that as the finish, and then
yeah. I think we picked the flowers ourselves was just like
so the wee cuddle afterwards.
it's not a cuddle. It's not a cuddle, man. It's like it's a horrible piece of audio. Like, but we were like, one, it was like I wanted just as much tracks on the EP as possible, just because it'd been so long since something had come out, and just an extra little thing. And we had that because that vocal sample that's in that is from the end of the grip when you have like 5 or 6 of you singing different lines over each other. So I think the grip and Zeitgeist can perform the same kind of sonic idea, like fast and like I don't know what's like because the Zeitgeist is quite hopeful, isn't it? And the grip is quite sad,
Quite gripping.
quite gripping.
Aye. I think like in terms of like from myself, like me and Jan, like and talking about certain things, like we both love Muse, or we used to love Muse.
Oh god, that song they put out yesterday.
Yeah, but I always feel like they're good albums like Absolution
What
or
good
just
albums are you talking about?
Mary. I'm so sorry.
This is a bit
Mary
of
hates
a
Muse,
touchy
but-
subject in the band, isn't it?
I would say
Muse,
yeah,
like-
second, third, fourth album, fifth album at push. Resistance is okay.
I like Resistance now.
But like their last tracks,
It
as a wee
sucks, but it's
I know.
kinda like it.
Like as a wee guy growing up, like listening to his albums, you'd be like, oh, their last track. It's like you want to leave like something lingering, and I feel like the production that you've done on the EP does that. It's like, oh, this is mental. Let's go back to the start. And
Yeah, I
listen to it
think
again.
with like Zeitgeist and the grip, there's like a sense of sort of like melancholy, but like with hope as an
Yeah.
undercurrent to it. So it's like it's like
They're fast.
it's
and
fast, but there's some kind of sad and a bit kind of like I don't know.
That
do
to
you
me,
know what I
they're
mean?
like chordy songs, which we don't do too much of in terms of like when we play it live, you could play like a big chord and like sing the song over it. It's like fun to do because it's easier. But
All our songs have chords in them, don't they?
I like the knife where it's just note after note after. That's what I mean. Like in terms of, like
okay.
or the hit where it's
Less
like.
riffy.
dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
sorry, less riffy. Aye,
But
sorry.
yeah, it's kind of like going down the U2 stadium rock.
Sorry, I'm just being an arsehole music student here.
Yeah, I think they just kind of serve that kind of big song ender, which
You should want
You might make a statement in the last song. You know what I mean?
yeah.
when do you know you're writing a closer? Like, when does the song begin writing it with that intention, or
I think
It's not as every
I was
song.
going to. When you wrote it, I think you were like, this could be the closer.
I think me and you always, I think always when me and you were writing it, we were like, this just
like
feels
this
feels like a closer,
Yeah.
because the album was originally meant to finish with This House. Spoiler. But we ran out of time in Chem 19. That was the last song we did, and we didn't quite get the mix finished for it.
Money dried up.
The money dried up. RBS was on the phone. Lloyd's Bank, Clydesdale.
To
We're
the-
like, here,
to the-
Get out of
kids.
that studio now.
get that straight. You have 5 minutes to
Take
get
the
your
tracks away for you.
And they came,
Gizo's MP3s.
give us those Og Vorbis files. But This House was meant to originally close it, but I think with us at that point, I think we were a bit sick of that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It closed like every gig we did.
Yeah, for like years, and we're like, we feel like we should just put it on the album just as a thing, and I'm quite glad we didn't do that, because at that point we were just a bit sick of it and it wasn't given the love.
Yeah. I think we moved, like, as artists, we kind of were moving on to do different types of things with music. So I think Zeitgeist as a song, sonically, it was quite different to anything we've done so far.
Yeah.
Talk about chordy things, it's very, very, it's even kind of folky some points.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that point now.
Yeah.
do you find that often though? Like the same thing now, with this being so diverse, what you're saying there about you felt like you were kind of moving ahead of where the album was as you were finishing it up.
Yeah.
Do you still struggle with that sometimes, kind of going forward, that when you're moving at such a pace as artists, that what you're releasing doesn't feel perhaps indicative of where you're at musically because you move past it so quickly?
I think I suppose a little bit, yeah. I think it was easier with this EP because it was so varied, and it was easier to put out. But I think when we were doing the album, because we'd already started writing new songs, and we're like, wish this was on the album. But
Yeah.
the first album was did its job. It was meant to be a collection of the last, first 5 years of being a band, and it was right just to put that all together and keep that as a memory, because it made us go and writing songs from then till now easier, because there wasn't, like, say for instance, like a song like Man Dies, if that wasn't on the album, it would always be nagging at us to
My
get.
favourite song on the album.
I love that song, absolutely adore that tune.
I think it also helps the way we write the music as well. Like, Jan does a lot of the production beforehand, so the sounds are always changing, so it always kind of feels new every single time we go back to it. So it's always a kind of case of like, oh, it feels like a new song. It's maybe working on a song for 6 months or something like that, but like that's just like an extreme example. But like the sounds can be changing constantly, so it always feels kind of new. It never feels kind of old and kind of falls to the wayside. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's easy to jump in and change things and revitalise it, and yeah.
that didn't happen with this house. We're just sick of that.
No, but the thing is, I want to put this house out maybe this year, because I feel like we could come back to it, rewrite it as a tune, because that top line is too good.
Yeah,
Just do it as a single.
Could
we're
do.
thinking. Yeah.
You're dying to do a double A side.
Going back to Muse, they put out a double A side of Dead Star and In Your World, and it was one of the first CDs I ever bought. And I just had the idea of a double A side, even in a vinyl sense. Like, it just makes sense.
We should do that, man.
What's probably the other side of this house? Big Bear and the Big Blue House. Big Bear. I don't know, but yeah, this house, we're going to do something with it.
We'll do something. We will, because I think now we're at the point where there's been enough distance from it. We've not played it in years at this point.
Yeah.
But it's weird to say, like, it's such a big song to us, but we've never released it as we had it as it was released as a single.
Twice.
Yes.
Twice.
But it's no longer on Spotify, so it's no longer
It
part of
was
the...
on LimeWire for a while, wasn't it?
It was.
That's how old it is. It's
Yeah.
you could download it.
So it's
actually
not part of the vegan leather canon, you know what I mean? The vegan leather extended
been
universe.
retconned.
But
It's like the Star Wars extended universe.
honestly, I feel like when we come, I feel
Lying.
like when we come back, we can do this song more justice.
Yeah.
We can rewrite it a little bit and make it more of a tune. Just because, like, in a song that was 5.5 minutes long, there was only like something like 20 seconds worth of lyrics in it.
Some of the best songs are like that, though.
Aye, but no. Aye,
But no.
it'll come out. I want it to come out, but I'm glad it wasn't the album.
When was the last time you listened to it?
Your New Year party.
Sorry, just recovering of like COVID from 3 weeks ago.
Oh my god.
How many fags did you smoke before you came in here?
I was so shocked there that I'd forgotten about the New Year party. And I was like,
Aye.
yeah, we were playing it on.
Aye. We've been to a party, your new
You
party.
edit that out.
Can you send it as an outtake just for us?
As a meme, yeah.
Aye, we played it at New Year party, just like acoustic version, as if like a pure old Irish sing along. And then we did it at your Auntie Tracy's during the summer of last year.
See, it's like people that play their own tunes at parties. That's us, isn't it? Like, I'm like, it's so cringe the next day. Like,
You can never share your Spotify Wrapped because it's just always vegan level at the top.
Literally, I think we were number 3 on mine. I was like, that's so. What already?
That is absolutely grim.
Like musicians, like we listen to our own tracks. Like, what's the
You
point?
need to get the algorithm up though. Do you know what I mean?
Thinking about it, like, what's the point of making music if you don't want to listen to it? You know what I mean? Like, I think
Not that
to
much,
make
though.
money.
I think our tunes are class.
Tunes are good, man.
So like, why would you make this music to
can't
listen
say
to me?
that.
I
That's
can.
the whole Josh Homme thing, though, isn't it? He always says that Queens of the Stone Age are his favourite band.
It
He's
makes
like,
sense.
why would you,
Yeah.
if you're trying to make music, why would you not make music that sounds like your favourite band?
That's a fair.
That's so
yeah,
true,
That's a fair point, man. You got to love yourself before you can love anyone else.
Can I get any men?
Oh, let me grab a glass. There you go. Cheers for yours. Your ears are normal size, sorry. I'll drink to that. But yeah, you need to love your music.
You do. You didn't love the music.
If you hate it, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know?
Where did the lorry line come from on She Don't?
Yeah, Jan. We're
We're going to get down to the big questions now.
This
I
is all.
wanted to ask that as well.
It's all about fucking people who I used to work with at some point in my professional career. It's all about this one particular person, but the lorry is actually about, that's the only line in a song about someone else who also worked in that same place.
So the song's about, I know who it is about, but that one line's about somebody else.
Yeah, who was okay, he's fine, but he did say that
Don't say he then. It's like,
but it's fine.
you know, the guys that have worked with you in the past are like, he talked about me.
You need to narrow it down at some point though. Okay. Like keep tabloids guessing.
It's like Guess Who. We need age, we need whether or not they're bald.
Yeah.
God no. I'm not saying but
Do
like
they wear glasses?
no, actually no.
Thank fuck.
But this person like did drive a lorry, but then I put that upon the other person, and I'm like, there's no way, man.
There's absolutely zero chance that you drive a lorry.
That you would ever drive a lorry, and that to me, I thought that was quite funny. Like, made me laugh.
That seems like such a, like, I've never thought about it before, but when you look at someone, you would be able to tell if they could drive a lorry or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't you?
We can
Like, I
ask
don't
them
think
to-
either of you could drive a lorry.
I can drive a lot. I don't even have a
like,
driver's
you
license.
could-
I could get my HGV, no bother. Isn't it HGV? Heavy goods vehicle?
Heavy good vehicle, man. But yeah, it's about it's an amalgamation of people. But this person did drive a lorry at some point. Fine by them, but when I put it upon this other person who the song's about, I was like, no
Couldn't
way,
catch
man.
it.
That's
Not
hilarious.
a chance.
In my room, pure laughing my head off.
But in the song, like, it's using a kind of a derogatory sense here.
Aye, because because driving a lorry is a good
skill.
It's a good skill.
It is a good skill.
And it's a good thing to do, but it's derogatory because this guy could never add to society. Or,
Sorry, I'm trying to interview here and asking questions. I get it. So, like, as if in the song, do you find that it's a skill that a man should have to drive a lorry?
Why'd you say man?
Yeah,
Because it's
why
about a
couldn't-
guy. Remember, he
Well,
broke the news.
The question was, you think that's a skill a man could have? What about a woman?
Here, don't ask questions.
Splitting chairs, man.
These are men with a trade.
These are
Listen,
boys with train driving lorries and all that, eh?
it's just more that like this guy could never contribute to society that much. Because there's no way, man. No way.
You said that one structured itself as well. The song.
Yeah, it did. That was like one of the easiest ones, just because I was drunk. I didn't make a big point of drinking through lockdown really that much. Would save it for like a Friday or a Saturday.
I'm gonna stay.
Bless you.
Oh bless you.
You should just like take all
That was
my,
the most
like,
polite sneeze.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bast.
It's
Sorry,
like,
continue.
respect. No, honestly, gratitude.
So your alcoholism.
Yeah.
Is it not a bottle of Bacardi?
It was like one Sunday night, and I was off for like 2 days afterwards. And this is when restaurants had opened up, but I think we had to close kind of early. And I was just like, I'm just gonna get a wee bottle of Bacardi to myself tonight and write a tune, because I've not sat down and wrote a tune
I'm
in a
gonna
wee
let
while.
loose.
What was it?
I'm gonna let loose.
I'm gonna go off my nut, like, and just got the wee guitar riff
What
down, and
mixer did you have?
it was Lemonade.
Interesting.
Goddamn lemonade.
Alternative
Bacardi.
choice.
It's good. Honest to God, I really enjoy Bacardi or any rum. This isn't the BBC. Like, but yeah, and it just kind of let loose, and I woke up the next morning just a bit hungover and listened to it. I was like, oh right, the whole song's been written. I'm like, cool. And it was like, but that the vocal, the verse vocal that's on it is from that original night. Just like me just singing into this particular microphone and just putting it down, and away we went.
Very class.
Yeah, I was like, I could record this again, but it won't be as good.
There's a certain je ne sais quoi with your pishness.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
I've got no water left, I can't cheer you. Hold on. No, I'm kidding. That's
Don't
done.
be careful, I write a song about you next.
What did you add to it after that night?
What's that?
What did you add to it after that night?
It was you. These guys got Matthew to play bass line.
Was the bassline not done before that you did the lyrics?
I did the bass line, but then I got you to play
You
it.
forced me to do it.
Because you
Play exactly like this.
no, but you did like cool like
Oh yeah, we
little hings.
we hangs, aye. Love wee hangs on the bass.
That man would not dare to try.
That's what I'm here for.
We got you singing on it. More keyboards. It's the same drum loop from Splice.
Can be a bit of Splice.
It's great.
Yeah, it's
I love Splice, man. I love like putting in like clown noises and going like, you know.
That was
But-
so good.
I learned from Kieran Devlin, the drummer from Fobs, which I'm also a member of the band of.
Resident Poltergeist.
But pardon me, sorry.
Resident Poltergeist.
He truly is.
That was meaning you and Fobs.
Oh yeah. I forget in the canon of Fobs not to turn this into another band thing, but I'm technically dead. Like,
Oh yeah,
Are
that
you?
video. Yeah.
Blank Eyes video.
Oh yeah.
Lizzie kills me in it.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I was watching it the other day and I forgot in the end they put a rest in peace Gianluca Bernacchi. And I remember I had to fight with them for it because they wanted to put 1995 to 2019 as if I'd actually died at the age of like however old that would be. And I was like, guys, you can't do that.
That's what they think you're dead.
I was like, what if like my auntie or uncle go on it and they watch, oh cool, but wait, Gianluca's died. But yeah, so Splice, it's good.
Is that where the orchestration comes from on the intro? Is that a sample from Splice or not?
No, that's the string section to the latter half of Gloaming slowed down, which we just composed in one of our orchestral VSTs, and then put a wee just because, as I said, I wanted to fill out the track list.
Well, I mean, that's it. So you got the intro, you got the outro, and you got the color interlude. When you were working on the EP at large, what kind of roles did they play in terms of the process itself? What did you kind of gain from making those wee sections?
They were a beautiful last minute
Afterthought.
afterthought, a complete afterthought that we did 2 days before we uploaded the EP. Honest to God, and we were just like, just fill it out, and when I heard it back with all of that, I was like, you know what, this is good. It helps the flow. Mm-hmm. I'm into it.
Yeah, because I think what we were saying earlier, the songs are all quite different in a way, so it is maybe good to have this kind of lovely, what do you call that thing that buffers things between?
A buffer.
A buffer.
Yeah.
Some butter between the tracks.
It helps.
You need to lube up the EP.
It helps. We need to help the flow, because I think if you just took them out of there, it could be quite jarring on a listen.
It makes the whole affair very concise. It makes everything kind of like sit in a nice kind of flow with those things, like the intro and the outro.
For sure.
It makes it a piece of work, a concept. You know what I mean?
It just more together. It's like the
own universe almost.
yeah, the vegan leather auditory universe.
The VLEU.
the VAW.
Not acronym at all. But yeah, like it solidifies things, and just having those like wee extra intros and kind of bits in between. I really like the phone call thing.
Yeah,
that's just really cool.
Splice, man. It belongs to us now. We receive PRS on it.
What's the biggest risk, you reckon, on this new EP?
Risk.
Risk.
Those tracks 2 days before you're uploading it.
Yeah, the Gaelic section.
I think that, like, you doing the speaking part was very out of left field for yourself. You've not really done a speaking part before.
No, I've never spoke before.
Yeah, this is just Jan just learned how to talk like last year.
Yeah, man.
Like every single interview we've
Impressed.
done beforehand, it's just like AI augmented. Like
It's actually in the brain of the listener. Like,
he's Professor X here.
astral
Astral projection.
astral projection. Yeah, speaking was a bit of a. I don't really know, to be honest. I think
You looking forward to doing it live?
Oh no! I want a little distorted microphone that I walk about with.
Yeah, the
That like, and, you know, do stuff like that. No, but I'm looking forward to everything.
Yeah,
I just want to play live again.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Risks in terms of really. I think there's a big risk coming up in what we've got coming up now because there's a swear word in one of the songs.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not cool, but
Well, I mean, we had an argument about this, didn't we?
we did, yeah.
Because what's the word?
Fuck.
The best one.
So I was like, oh, it's cool. Saying fuck's cool.
Same fuck, it's cool.
I know.
Safe. I
What
mean,
song's it again?
This is a new one called "Fuck the Wasp, Save the Beast."
Is that the title
There's
of
no
it?
other word that can.
It's great in context,
Yeah.
but I think there may be one swear word in the next video.
I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents about this.
I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents about this. Right.
Swearing's a drug too.
But yeah, that's a risk that's coming up. In
I don't
terms
think
of,
I've heard this one yet.
I played it to you very briefly like last year, but
Alright.
it's good. It's like I don't know. It's like Arcade Fire a bit.
Could you put another fuck in it? Could we two fucks in it?
Put the choruses in it. Repeat the chorus.
Class.
Do whatever you want.
I can't wait to have a parental advisory sticker on our album.
Yeah, I'll be the whole album.
I can't wait. It's just a parental advisory sticker.
God's sake.
Class, man.
Class.
That's very class.
You were saying as well that before you played Liverpool, you kind of mixed things up live a bit. You wanted to change things up.
Yes.
How so? And how does that kind of feed into the stereo show that you've got coming up?
It's behind the scenes stuff. It's technology. Instead of using a laptop, because we have to run backing tracks because there's no way 4 people could play all the synth parts and the stuff that we need to happen with our equipment and that. And laptops are just proven just too unreliable. So I'm going to keep it short because I can talk about this for hours. We got this box. Honest to God, like that's the great thing about Aberdeen. When I met other people who I could talk to about this, it's like, I've got this box, man. It's got like you put a USB stick in the front, and it's got 16 outputs in the back, and it's got a up, down, select, play, and stop, and the whole set just runs off
Basically like
that.
a giant iPod, isn't it?
It's a huge iPod.
It also means you're not taking your 1,500 quid MacBook to a gig, and there's been a couple of scary moments with like being on a laptop stand and the laptop falling.
Born Regis.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It was like a typewriter.
Duncan broke my laptop charger at the BBC a few years ago.
Yeah.
Those laptop chargers for Apple's a pish,
Are we
man.
ready to talk about Tea in the Park yet, or is it still too raw?
That was an interface problem.
But it's the same
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
The
last day in the park.
We
The last
played
one.
The last one, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just it's
We're all
just
greeting after it. We're like, oh, so bad.
yeah. I mean, it was
It was actually alright. Like
it was fine.
when things go wrong on stage, it feels like it's a fucking monumental thing. When it's actually not as bad for the audience, it's mostly bad for us. But
Especially when you were as young as we were at that point, because
Yeah.
that was 2016, and we were like 21 and 22, you know, and it was like
so I think the fear of having something going wrong has kind of like made us get this box, but also the box like powers your like pedals as well.
Yeah.
Because all the sounds that these guys have got going on in their pedals, it's like you need to like be Fred Astaire to get the sounds going. Like
yeah,
Tap dance.
and I know goddamn Sonic Youth.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking. I'm not
Come on,
fucking.
you can get it.
Go.
Uh,
Get it.
the Alan Parsons project. I'm fucking the Gianluca Bernacchi project. Kind of.
You're Gianluca and the Ballman.
No,
Ken Lund,
all of
Say it
us
again.
are.
Gianluca and the Ballman.
Yeah.
But no, we hate pedal hopping. I think it's a fucking waste of time. Like, I want a pedal to do it automatically. I want to sing and play guitar.
To the point now that our pedals are behind us.
Yeah.
Like literally. So we don't even need to press them.
The
Yeah.
box just changes all the stuff for
Box
every
just
single
does it
track. It
for
does
you.
it on the bar lines.
Future.
Yeah, but because see if you're paying fucking money to go see a gig and you see people who are just like head down, feet in pedals, going about and all that. That's shite. I'm sorry. Like I don't.
For what we're doing, like
No, I don't. I think in general it's shite. I want this person that I have eye contact with me, and with us, we want to fucking sing and play our instruments and have fun and not have to worry about like whatever.
Pressing things.
It means we have to do literal months of pre-production, but once it's done forever. And live now there's less anxiety about it. It's more that, and to go into the stereo show, it just means everything's going to sound better because we have more flexibility in what we can do with our live sound. We can add more things, more hardware like keyboards and stuff like that. And as I said, there's just less anxiety about things going wrong.
yeah. I think
Does
this
it mean you have to stick to the set though? Like, is there any room for kind of flexibility and?
Yeah, there is a wee bit, but we've never really been ones for kind of
Spontaneity.
breaking out the jams. Really,
Yeah.
we like to sit down and plan out the set and.
It means though, like you can skip. Say you wanted to do a song before, or like you can skip,
Yeah.
can't you? Like,
Yeah, you
it's
can-
not
you-
just like
You're still in control and all that, and it's set up in a way that, see, if we wanted to do that, it would be much easier than it would be using a laptop.
Yeah.
And much more reliable.
Aye. I think also, like, the amount of times we play the gigs with laptops and stuff before, and it's just you're shiting yourself just in case something goes wrong.
Aye.
Like, that box is just, basically, because we've Jan's kit and we've all kind of, like, went through the set and made sure everything's a bit more streamlined and a bit more good and reliable. You're playing better because you're not worrying about anything going wrong, you know what I mean? So that's one element that I think we benefit from.
And if someone flings a pint, which has happened, and it hits the laptop, it's not just the set that goes down, that's one of our laptops that we need for our lives, you know? And then we have to...
for our lives.
Then they run out of the
I know.
lives.
Sentence you to life.
By the
Seen
feet.
that Lemmy one?
For
judge?
destroying the MacBook Pro.
The pandemic.
I sentence you life. I'm Mars.
Bailiff, take him down.
Bailiff, take him down.
On that note,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
God bless.
Thanks for having us.
God bless and Godspeed.
Respect.
God bless. Stay safe, everyone. Come to our show if it's not already been, and if it's been, please
you
tag us in
enjoyed
your
it.
pictures.
February 19th. Here we go.
About enjoying the future and the past. Oh, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Oh.